Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Chase Chewning, and this is your weekly source for inspiring content from people who are putting a purpose to their passion and truly living a life ever forward. This is Ever Forward Radio. Welcome back, everyone. All right. Let's get going with this week's episode. Thank you again for joining me. Like I said, we're going to dive into the interview soon, but I wanted to first take a moment out to continue on with this weekly tradition of giving some shout-outs to the shout-outs for the iTunes reviews. So this one comes from Stratton Oakmont, and Stratton writes, "Expect big things." Stratton writes, "I follow Chase here from YouTube. Him and his brother are both inspirations. Trust that this podcast will carry that same message. He has already revealed some of his guests through other mediums, and you will definitely want to hear what they have to say." Stratton, you are absolutely right. I try to drop some hints, drop some telltale signs of who's coming up on pretty much every social media platform that I have. I will mention it in some of my YouTube videos. I will post about it during interviews on my Instagram story, Snapchat. So I want you all to kind of just stay abreast of the caliber of guests and content that I am really seeking out and trying to grow the Ever Forward Radio platform, and so that I get better feedback from you all as far as, yes, this is what we're looking for. This is what we need. This is really what can help us grow and live this life ever forward. And I really think that what my demographic, what my listeners are seeking out is right up there with the type of personnel, the type of interviews, the type of content that I myself am seeking out. The exact same kind that I was seeking out all last year when I was growing this idea of creating my own podcast. Let's go ahead and dive into this week's episode, everyone. We're going to be talking about the human body, training, daily living, and really what it takes to bring that awareness into what is pain, what is soreness, and how to properly set yourself up in a prehab, rehab, and mobility routine so that we can stay loosey-goosey in all of our gym movements and daily activities. I am speaking to a doctor of chiropractic, a USAPL powerlifter, and recent Instagram phenom, and myodetox rehab provider. Of course, I'm speaking about Dr. Jacob Harden. Let's jump into the episode. Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's episode of Ever Forward Radio. I am joined via Skype video. We'll get to stare at this beautiful face for the next 45 minutes or so with Dr. Jacob Harden of Myodetox, the Instagram mobility guru. I'm sure you all are following him at this point. If not, you need to. So I'm going to let Dr. Jacob step up and say hey and introduce himself, and we'll go from there. We'll get the interview started.
Hey, how's it going, guys? My name, as he said, is Dr. Jacob Harden. I am a chiropractor based out of Orlando, Florida. I have gotten very much into sports and rehab, and especially into the fitness world as a powerlifter myself, and really taking on trying to get the word out about mobility and movement and just injury prevention techniques, and trying to keep you guys healthy. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, and looking forward to talking to you guys today.
So you said you're starting off as a doctor of chiropractic, and of course, chiropractors have a very different approach towards kind of the body and treatment and healing. So what was it kind of, you clearly started down that path because I'm assuming you wanted to be a chiropractor, and then how do you kind of transition out of that paradigm and model and approach to helping people into doing what you're doing now? Because my perception is it's two totally different worlds, at least in the rehab sessions that I've had with doctors of chiropractic.
Yeah, I probably was thinking about along the traditional chiropractic lines for about 6 months in school before I realized that I wanted to do something a little bit differently. I kind of going in, they kind of get you indoctrinated into you're only going to adjust, you're only going to do this, this is what we do.
Manual manipulations and all the normal snap, crackle, pop of the DC world,
right? And so coming from an athletic background, I played baseball, I played tennis before, doing powerlifting, I was like, that doesn't sound like it's, like I just started to see like this isn't going to do everything I need. And that just really kind of even solidified more as I went into student clinic in my last year of school. I started treating more people, and I was like, yeah, like, we have to do more. Like, we have to do more. And I'm lucky enough to be in Florida where, like, my scope of practice allows me to do anything I want to do.
Okay. Meaning what exactly? Just the regulations and licensure with DC?
Yeah, like regulations and licensure, allow me to be able to do like soft tissue work, and I can rehab people. Some states aren't that lucky where they're very narrow and all they can do is manipulate. We're really trying to push to get that expanded, make sure that we kind of modernize that for those states. But here, I'm very lucky. I can do what I want to do, and so we really wanted to set kind of a new standard. I went into school, into chiropractic school, because I was kind of tired of people just saying, "Oh, we'll just stop lifting." Just stop,
oh, this hurts when I do this, so you should just stop doing that.
Yeah. So I basically went into it because I was sick of hearing that.
Okay.
And I was like, no, there's a better way to do this, and I don't know what it is, but I'm going to figure it out.
So what was it about kind of the that approach towards the human body and treatment that was your why, other than going into maybe like an MD program or DO or physical therapy or massage therapy? What was it about, DC doctors of chiropractic in particular that was just like, this is my path?
Yeah. I wish I had a really sexy answer for that, but I don't. The real truth is that it was freak circumstances that led me down that road. I was looking for I just moved to Florida. My parents had moved out here from Texas. I moved with them after college, and I was looking for a gym that had a squat rack, and they had gotten a house on the beach, and there's literally nothing close. The closest gym that was actually good was right next to the chiropractic school. Okay. And I didn't know anything about it. I was at kind of a point in my life where I was kind of lost, didn't know what I was going to do.
Post-college,
yeah. I had wanted to do the MD route at one point, and then kind of drifted away from that. Had looked into dentistry, kind of drifted away from that, and just couldn't really figure out where I wanted to fit. And so I was driving by this school every single day, and I started to kind of research it more because my dad had gotten help from a chiropractor for some disc injuries in the past. And so I was looking into it, and I took a tour. I listened to what they had to say, and they were kind of telling me, you can you can work with athletes if you wanted to. You could, you can take this route, which is traditional chiropractic route, or you can, or you can make it what you want to make it. And I was all about that, just like stepping right out of school, opening up my own practice, and making my own path with that degree. And chiropractic was just it's so versatile for me. Yeah, absolutely. That it was awesome. And then there's little perks like, that I don't have to have like referrals from MDs and stuff like that to see people that were like the little minuscule things that would lead me to that over, say, PT. Mm-hmm. Okay. But yeah, I kind of fell into it. But it was a good fall. All just because you were looking for a squat rack. Dude, lifting has got me everywhere in life. Yeah, so I would love to touch base on that. So, I mean, out of college, you're looking for this, next step, looking for your gym fix. And so I'm hearing you're looking for a squat rack, which means you must have already been involved in, some type of the fitness aspect. So what maybe was that was drawing you towards that? What were you already competitive at that point? You were powerlifting then, or did you? I actually didn't start competing until after chiropractic school. Okay. Chiropractic school is 7:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon every day, and so I wasn't gonna have time to. I didn't really have time to compete on top of that schedule. I got really into lifting after high school because I just needed something to keep me active. Mm-hmm. I played baseball and tennis in high school, went to University of Texas, and wasn't nearly good enough to be playing on a D1 high-level team like that. Oh, I didn't know you were an Austin guy. I'm an Austin guy. I'm back and forth there all the time. It's a great city, yeah. Yeah, it's blown up since I graduated. I need to get back there and go see it again. So I needed something to just kind of keep me active, and so lifting was that for me. My brother got into was on the high school powerlifting team, my younger brother. And that was kind of my first exposure to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of took an interest in that, started reading bodybuilding.com forums, like most
As
of
does
us.
everybody. Yeah. We all start with bb.com.
Spent all of our time there, and just really, it just became a passion.
Yeah.
And really it just became that thing that I could compete with myself every day, and I could build something every day and progress. And I've always been obsessed with that progression. So going into chiropractic school, I still had that.
So getting involved with this new training dynamic, and then at the same time building, your new practice. How did you kind of balance those two? I'm assuming you said you weren't competing through chiropractic school, right?
Yeah, I wasn't.
Okay.
I was basically training. I was basically training from a strength standpoint all through chiropractic school. So I was used to the training aspect of it. It wasn't really an issue. And as I went through school, I was kind of thinking about how I wanted to envision this practice and how I wanted it to be. I knew I wanted to have the gym inside the clinic.
Right.
Like we have now is literally like we have tables set up right next to the gym so that we are a stone's throw away from just walking over there and taking you off a table and under a bar to see what kind of changes we make. And so I was just kind of envisioning that as we went, and then it just came time to making that come to fruition. And so it was definitely a growing process as we went through, opening up in May 2015, but it's something that we've definitely refined as we went.
What's it like going into a secondary school, postgraduate master's program, this, specific chiropractic school, kind of already knowing that when you're done with this, you are stepping right into, being your own boss? That's my understanding. Most chiropractors, that's what they do. After school, you go and open up your own practice. So it's got to be pretty solidifying and reassuring to know that I'm on a path, I'm getting this education, and then immediately when I'm done, I've got a job, I'm stepping out into being an entrepreneur. So did you know that was what you're going to do, or were you already looking at, kind of going in with another practice?
Yeah, for me, I had always planned on doing exactly what I'm doing. I had always planned on stepping out and going right into practice. I knew that I was going to basically save money for 3 years, as much as I could, to make this happen. And the only time I faltered in that was right before graduation. I got an amazing job offer in Houston, and
Texas calling you back.
Yeah, and I almost took it, and it was like last minute turned it down, and came out here and did this.
Why turn down a sure thing and go with the unknown?
Yeah, and that was what it was. It was. I never wanted to do something. I never wanted to have to play by anybody else's rules. I knew that if my message was going to be that we were going to do something different that had not been done before, that I couldn't do that working under somebody else. So for that, I knew that I needed to get out and start my own thing. And I met my wife in school, Monica, and
are you both chiropractors?
And we're both chiropractors. Yeah, we were in the same class. And we got married right before graduation, and I'm very blessed. She was totally on board with what I wanted to do. She wanted to kind of go that same route with me. So we
automatic business partner. Yeah, together. There you go.
So it all works.
So that was 2015, right?
Yep, that was 2015.
Okay. So in just 2 short years, I was just pulling up your Instagram account because that's how I first discovered you. I think someone a few months ago tagged me in something about this mobility movement or squat technique, and you've got over 300,000 followers on Instagram. And today that means something. And I love your platform, the way that you just make posts about not just saying, hey, this is right, this is wrong, but then you immediately kind of give, this is how you fix it kind of thing. So how did you know you were always going to kind of go the social route, or how did opening up your own practice and becoming your own boss, this entrepreneur endeavor, segue into correlating with the social aspect?
I started social when we opened up our practice, May of 2015, and really I didn't know what I was doing. The goal, but literally, if you look anybody who wants to have fun, scroll to the bottom of my Instagram.
Okay.
You'll find old videos of me just going. It's showing drills.
Yeah.
It's silent. I never talk. It's a silent video of me showing something, and there's a caption underneath, kind of explaining why I would do it. And I was hoping maybe I'd pick up a local athlete here and there. I didn't understand the extent of what you could do.
The social marketing aspect of it. Yeah.
I had no idea what you could do with it. And that's something that as a business owner, I have really evolved over the last 2 years. I have evolved and grown probably more in the business aspect than anything else.
How has the social media addition to your practice and the way that you kind of market yourself and grow and promote what you do, how has that really, tangibly, how have you seen that be successful?
Well, it's my main source of patients coming in now.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and that's where, like I was saying, like I was thinking, I'll get a couple local people.
Yeah.
And now it's, 10 new patients on the schedule every week.
Wow.
Out of Orlando.
Yeah.
And because there's just new people finding us every day at this point, just because of one platform.
Yeah.
And so it was actually, I think maybe my first post was may have been a year ago today, actually.
Wow.
When I started doing
just
my daily
posting. Wow.
Yeah. So I posted, I posted daily.
Okay.
It was it was very much mid-June. It may have been to the day, but started posting daily. I just started thinking about what do people need?
Mm-hmm.
If I was out there and I was hurting, I have a basic knowledge of movement, mobility. All I just kind of need is some direction, someone to tell me what to do, and I'll do it. And because I have that athletic mindset, and I figured more people probably have that same thing going on. So I started thinking about what are the most common things I treat, what are the most common things I see, and how do we help people with that. And I started just trying to throw it out there to people, and they responded very well.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it. What are some of the most common things people need? What are maybe some of the top 3 injuries or chronic just annoying things that people that daily living and or the competitive powerlifter? What are some of the main things that people are coming to you for treatment and work on?
In the weightlifting, powerlifting world, it's low backs, shoulders are the big ones. Knees come in every now and again. I don't have too many people come in with those. More of our endurance athletes or more of our Achilles issues are plantar fasciitis, knees and hips there. We see a lot of hips, but that's the kind of stuff that I have really started to hone in on is those things that everybody has dealt with. And then every now and again I'll throw out things that are a little less common that I get DM'd about or emailed about, hey, can you make a post about this? I'm like, yeah, sure. But yeah, low back pain's the big one.
Of course, yeah.
Shoulder pain's the other big one, and then I would say pinching in the hips is probably the third biggest one that we treat on a daily basis.
When you're working with athletes, whether they're a powerlifter or a baseball player, or really anyone who does something professionally or just on that accelerated amateur level, what are some maybe things that they're coming in that you're seeing that we can do to prevent getting to the point of pain or actual injury? What's maybe a couple of things to be on the lookout for a beginner aspect or someone who's been throwing a barbell on their back for years that they should just be mindful of to keep their body fluid moving forward?
Yeah. Your training program is the number one thing.
Okay.
It's absolutely the number one thing is the training program. How you apply, injury happens because you put too much stress on something and it couldn't recover from it. Do it enough times, something breaks. And that's how it happens. So the training program is supposed to be meant to manage that stress. And if it's set up right, we will. Then you have the other side of that is how do you boost your recovery? And, that's where, managing your psychological stress, and you eat well and you drink enough water and you get enough sleep, making sure that you're not make sure that you have the mobility to actually do the movements that you plan to be doing that day.
Yeah, of course. That always helps.
Eating all over the place is a big one. But those are it's really the basic stuff,
The fundamentals.
Like we've kind of gotten to the point, I feel, that we start to think about, like, well, I foam roll and I stretch, why did I get hurt?
Mm-hmm.
And you look at it, it's like, well, your technique sucks. Like,
did you foam roll or did you foam roll?
But your training technique sucks. You've been trying to max out every day for the last 3 weeks.
Right.
Like, what did you expect to happen? You can't outstretch, just bad mechanics.
One thing I heard you say a few times was recovery. And so I'm picking up that's probably something you try to hone in on with your patients, your clients. Absolutely. Is this recovery time? Talk maybe a little bit more about that and how recovery is something that I can personally tell, in a lot of my clients and patients that does get overlooked. I'll work with a guy who, I'm training 6 days a week. Every other week I'm doing, 7 days. I'm super restricted in my calories, all this extra cardio. And then when I tell them, hey, actually, I want you to take 2 days off, 3 days off, because you're just, like you said, you're maxing out all the time. You're going heavy, too hard, too fast. And then when you tell them to stop, it's like you're asking them to change their religion. What is it about recovery that it really is the secret sauce?
Well, because everything has a breaking point,
mm-hmm.
right? Like, everything has a breaking point. And the key is not focusing on what you're going to do right now or what the gains you're going to make in a month. The goal is, what are you going to do over the course of your lifting career? Like, your training career, what are you going to do? Like, yeah, we should have short-term goals, mm-hmm. but like this long-term, like if you're always hurt, like, do you want to have to take a year to build back up to where we get you to? Or do you want to just continue to surpass that because you're willing to take 2 to 3 days off? So everything has a breaking point. And usually your body's going to tell you that, like, when you're approaching it. Like, we all know what that.
How does it tell us?
Like, we all know what that feeling feels like, right?
Yeah, like that annoying, nagging kind of like, if I do a couple more reps, this is definitely going to hurt me. So mm-hmm. you get kind of the telltale signs, absolutely. Yeah. So most of my patients, when they come in, they know exactly why they're hurt. Like, I felt that. Yeah.
I felt this thing like a month ago, and I thought it would get better, but I continued to just kind of work through it, and then it didn't. And now here we are.
Yep.
Right? And so if we could just I think we just need to educate people more. Like, they just need to know that if they just listen and they feel that it's trying to tell them something. Like, your body is smart enough to tell you when it's time to back down.
Right.
And you also have to kind of take that leap to say, well, if I back off, I'm going to be okay and come back stronger. I'm not going to lose my progress. I'm actually going to make more over the course of the long term. I think it's like asking someone to take a diet break.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're very reluctant to it, right? Because they just like, I want to keep going. I have this momentum rolling. It's like, slow your roll a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you advise people to best differentiate between pain and discomfort in the gym? So how can we best tell the people that we work with, or how can we best tell people listening that, hey, if you're in the gym and you feel this, or if you're walking daily living and you feel this is a sign that it's just maybe some overuse or just a discomfort, and when should you actually have a hard stop?
Yeah. So if typically pain from the gym, it's just general aches, usually you're going to feel it in the actual muscles, like in the muscle bellies, mid-quad, mid-hamstring, in your glutes. But if you're feeling things like over the bones, like it feels like it's in the joint, that deep stuff, like you're pushing a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying that you have to stop immediately, because there are times when you have to push through that in order to adapt and get stronger. But you need to know that you're kind of approaching that point, right? So if you feel that, or like if you're only feeling things on one side,
mm-hmm.
like if we're doing squats or deadlifts, like, and you're attacking things appropriately, then you should be kind of feeling those things on both sides. And if it's only like, hey, my right hip ever seems to get achy, well, there's probably something going on with your right hip.
That's a big red flag for some compensation. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's another big one. So if you feel it feels like it's deep in the joints. If it's sharp is another big one. That sharp pinpoint pain is usually a big one. The overuse, just kind of you're overreaching a bit, tends to be more generalized achiness. It should lessen with a day or two of resting. The other stuff is not going to necessarily get significantly better with a day or two of rest. It's going to need a little bit longer. So those are the things I look for. Yeah,
and getting caught up in the progress is definitely something that I see a lot with the people that I work with. I mean, and you and I both know, I mean, there's that gap between the time that your actual muscles can recover and grow and take on a new load, a new force, increased time under tension. But the tendons, the ligaments, the bones, they got a little bit of catching up to do.
They do. And then it's because they do. They are going to have that kind of extra time frame. And, I think if anyone who's familiar with the book Practical Programming and all the charts and everything, we saw, beginner needs this much stress to adapt, intermediate kind of comes up, and then the advanced guy is way up here.
Yeah, absolutely.
We know that if you only take this much stress to adapt, then you're going to recover from that. You're going to reach baseline again within a day, so you can train again. You can go that 3 days a week, continuously add 5 pounds every time.
Yep.
But whenever you start to get to that intermediate range and you're up in here and you have to start adding more stress all the time, it takes longer to come back to baseline. So it's literally a math equation. The more you go up, the longer it takes to come down, and then you get up to your advanced athletes. Then they have to apply so much stress way up here to make progress that they're not going to be able to throw, 3 overloading sessions in a week. They're going to have to gradually build that up over time, and they're not looking at making that kind of hitting a PR, on a weekly basis. They're looking at hitting a PR on a monthly to maybe every 3 months kind of basis, because it's going to take that much time.
So we've kind of talked about the training aspects, what people do that they can be on the lookout for not injuring themselves, listening to your body, some basic training principles. So once a person does reach that point of injury or just a chronic ailment, and they do, hey, I need the doc. I need to come see Dr. Jacob. What is it that you all do differently that really kind of helps the patient out in a way that they haven't seen before?
I think the big thing that we do is we recognize your fitness level coming in.
Huge.
There's a lot of people being underdosed their rehab.
Okay.
All right. So
I haven't heard that before. I like that. That's underdosing rehab.
So there's a lot of people that are if you take somebody who has never worked out before and you give them their little TheraBand exercise where they're going like this, and like this for their shoulder gets better. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. If you take a well-conditioned athlete and have them do that, it's actually less stress than what they can handle, and you detrain them.
Interesting. Well, okay.
You're actually detraining them and bringing their fitness levels down by doing that exercise. We're insulting their muscles' intelligence. That's what that is. Basically, you're insulting their fitness levels. Instead, you wouldn't give an advanced athlete a 5x5 program. No, they're above and beyond that. Go to a 5x5 and you'll get stronger. It wouldn't happen. They get worse. They would get weaker. You would begin to be undertrained. Undertraining, under rehabbing. That's ringing a bell with me. Absolutely. Right. So what I do with people is I find how much can your body tolerate. Okay. So, for example, I had a patient yesterday that he was getting some back pain when he would squat. So we got him under a bar and we figured out where that upper limit was of what his body could take at the time. And then we drafted up a program to progress him beyond that point. But, it was having him actually working around that tolerance point. Mm-hmm. Because if I had just said, well, just stop or just rest for 3 weeks, it's but you know what? He can still squat 200 pounds. Mm-hmm. why would I tell him to do 0?
That's definitely a dynamic and approach I haven't experienced, at least with a lot of rehab specialists. So that's, it makes sense when I think about the science and logic behind it.
Because everything's adaptable.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is adaptable. And we were saying that if injury happens because you applied too much stress, well, the amount of stress you can take is dictated by how much you train.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we go to our advanced athletes, they have it takes so much stress for them to progress. How many of them are getting hurt in day-to-day activities?
I'm going to venture a guess and say none.
None.
Yeah.
Because it takes that much. If it's going to take this much stress to actually, the only thing that's going to hurt them is training. But they bulletproof themselves against life. Yeah,
it's a pretty obvious correlation, I think. If you're someone who maybe you jog every day or you're pretty active and you take the stairs up to work and you got a coworker taking the stairs right next to you who goes to work, goes home, that's it, the odds of you being winded at the top of the steps is next to none compared to that person. It's just a matter of basic conditioning. So, it carries over into the exact same principles you're talking about. Absolutely.
Exactly. So what we do is we figure out what can you do, and we're much more focused on what you can do versus what you can't.
Okay.
And the reason we do that is, 1, because we want to get you stronger, but 2, because there's a big psychological part to being injured.
Yes.
And
absolutely. Yes.
Keeping your spirits high is huge through that process. And so if we focus more on what you can do and how you still can train and all those things that are still on the green light list and less on the red light, then you're much happier going through that process.
It's that self-efficacy building. Absolutely. It's the same thing that pairs over into, me as a health coach. It's if I showed everybody what they're doing wrong and all the things that are barriers between them and their goals, I'm just beating them down. I'm chiseling away at them, and they're just, never going to want to grow and expand. But, when they come back and see me, I'm like, okay, this is what we did right. This is what you're doing that is conducive towards your goals. Building them up and helping them realize that the more I do this, the closer I get to my goal. It's the exact same way in rehab and same thing in training. Yeah, I can't throw 405 on my back and squat it, but you know what? I can continuously do 350. And, continuing to that will get me to that next goal. If you constantly just think what you can't do and train them in what you can't do, no wonder they're not going to get better.
Exactly. So it's just about individualizing. Like, there's no cookbook. It's like you have to figure out who that person is in front of you. Mm-hmm. And, it's my job to make sure that I give them that individualized care. I'm not that's why we do hour-long appointments here. It's just, we have to have the time. We have to figure it out for you.
So if I'm a new patient coming in, walk me through what is a session with you and the Myodetox Clinic look like?
So down here, session with me, we'd chat. We would probably spend 10, 15 minutes chatting, figuring out everything that bothers you. I'm always looking for a trigger. I want to know, 1 is, do you have your pain under control first? To the point that where if I bend forward, it hurts my back. Or if I go into a squat, it hurts my hip. But other than that, I'm pretty good.
Okay.
So I'm kind of looking for that trigger, that thing that I need to build around. Then we'll go into a postural assessment. Then we go into a movement assessment. I take a look at all the joints that I think might be involved, make sure they have the mobility to do the things that you want to do.
And speaking of, I got to say, since talking with you, I try to be conscious of my posture the whole time, but definitely talking to a chiropractor, mobility expert, every time I look at the screen, I'm like, all right, Chase, chin up, shoulders retracted.
No, believe me, you will walk into my clinic and there's a good chance you see me with my feet up on the desk, leaning back, responding to comments. I'm not a stickler on posture. I'm a stickler on you being so stuck in your posture that you can't get out of it.
Good difference there. Yeah.
And there's a big difference is that a lot of people they come to me, they want to fix that, and I'm just like, no, I don't care if you slouch. I care if you slouch so much that literally you can't get out of it anymore.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's a big difference.
That's pretty bad an issue. Or if you choose not to get out of it anymore. Like if you decide that you're going to slouch for 6 hours straight, well, you're going to hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty obvious at that point. Well, to some people, I guess.
Yeah. So going back, so we go through that whole assessment and we get a picture. We get a really broad picture of what is playing into your issue. Mm-hmm. Like in your day-to-day activities, what are some things you might need to avoid? What are some things that we can let you do? And then we start attacking all the things that you need to avoid. So if you have super stiff hips, we'll spend some time working soft tissue, opening up those hips, making sure that they move well. And then we usually finish a session with actually integrating that into movement for you. So we make sure that you're getting off the table and moving around. We're having you doing rehab drills, and then we give you homework to make sure that you can do that at home. And usually we'll have everybody bust out their phone, film a quick video of us doing the exercises for them, so that way they have that instruction right there, and they don't have to second guess thinking about what they were doing.
Right.
But definitely goes, new patient would be assessment, full assessment of you. Then we go into some of our soft tissue treatment to make sure to improve mobility, and then we integrate that into movement. Follow-up visits, we kind of spend more time on those last two.
Awesome. What is some of the successes that you see with your patients? You all, typical chiropractors. I haven't been to one in a while, so this may or may not be the standard anymore. But it's just get adjustment, come back. Get adjustment, come back. With your particular treatment and rehab and prehab, what's about the average turnaround time for sessions? What is it 1, 2, 3, and the clients are good to go, or what do you kind of see the turnaround rate being for your treatment protocol?
On minor injuries or irritations, we usually have people turned around in about 3 weeks.
Okay.
And whether we do 1 hour session a week or we do a couple half-hour sessions a week, just kind of depends on people's pain levels. Mm-hmm. If we looked at most moderate injuries, it's usually a 6-week turnaround for most people, and that's to where I feel confident enough to clear them to kind of start working on their own.
Gotcha.
Into their plan. Like they're still going to have some time to where they're not 100% training again in that time frame.
Yeah. But
we've set up a solid plan for them to start progressing back into some of these movements that were previously painful. And then we get our advanced cases that it's indefinite how long we might have to treat them but those people really have to be bought in and really, really dedicated to fixing what they want to do. But usually they've been dealing with it for so long that that's not an issue.
Well, it kind of wrapping up in the last few questions, which would be respectful of your time. What is maybe one of the biggest turnarounds, the biggest success stories you've seen as far as an injury or a chronic ailment coming in that just, I can certainly tell, in my experience working with people that start line and the finish line is a beautiful thing. But with you, it's a lot more tangible and physical. You're actually changing the way people walk and move and live. So what's maybe one of the biggest success stories that you've had?
I had a personal trainer. He drove to me he would drive about an hour and a half to come see me. And when he first saw me, he had an old disc injury and he could bend forward 10 degrees.
Ouch.
Like maybe that's as far as he could go, and his back would catch. And so for people, 10 degrees, you're here and you're going like that.
You're barely tilting forward.
You're barely moving. And he had been like that for years, just years and years on end. And then once he got past that point, he was kind of okay, but it would catch him every single time there. And as a trainer, it was really, really hard for him to train his clients.
Yeah, you got to be able to move.
Anything. And it had been years and he just couldn't work out anymore. And so we really worked with him. I remember we had a day where we set up steps, little stair steppers, and we put a 35-pound kettlebell on it, and he did 2-inch deadlifts with that for probably 10 minutes.
Wow.
Straight. And then we would lower a step to see if he could go a little bit lower. And as long as he was okay, we would just go, and we did it for an hour. for an hour we did that, and we got him like probably a foot off the ground, picking up a 35-pound kettlebell.
Wow.
And I saw him once a month for 6 months. He would come down, and he was super dedicated, did everything I ever asked him to do in the meantime. And, he would come in just drenched in sweat from our little kettlebell deadlifts because he just hadn't been able to work out. And his fitness levels were down. But after 3 months, we were able to implement some techniques to kind of help with some of the nerve stuff that he had going on.
Mm-hmm.
In 4 months, we had him being able to put a bar on his back again.
Wow, that's huge.
And the last time I talked to him, he had squatted 300 pounds and he had deadlifted 400.
No way. That's insane. That's awesome.
We went from literally this guy having not been able to bend forward in years to squatting and deadlifting an enormous amount of weight again. And it was just, that's the kind of thing that, like, all you want to do is just give somebody a hug. Like, you want to just be like, oh my, like, I'm like, you're so happy for somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a rewarding thing that it was probably one of the greatest moments of my life to see him come in and drop down to a squat and bend over, touch his toes, and be like, I'm good. Like, I'm good.
The kettlebell and the stair stepper technique, that's something that I think shines through in a lot of your posts and mobility, prehab, rehab, and just kind of the treatment techniques you post up on Instagram is they seem very out of the ordinary. Like, I haven't read this in any ACSM manual or anything. Where do you come up with these kind of protocols and these treatment techniques? Because they're not anything standard that I can tell, but they work. And when I look at the science and mechanics behind it, I'm like, damn, this guy's spot on.
It's honestly, it's logic. Like, I'm just thinking logically in that, you know what? I'll take it from a different case. I had a guy with a labral tear in his shoulder,
mm-hmm.
and doc said, you can never lift overhead again. And so I asked the guy, I was like, can you go like this? And he was like, yeah.
Just like, okay. Just no weight, just overhead
you
press.
Just take your arms overhead.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah. He's like, he did it. It's like, did that hurt? He's like, no. He's like, like there's a little pressure back there, but it didn't hurt. I was like, why can't I put a 5-pound dumbbell in your hand?
Yeah.
Like, why can't I do that? I can. And if you work with that 5-pound dumbbell and you adapt to it, because everything's adaptable, I can put a 10-pound dumbbell in your hand. And I can put a 20-pound, and on and on and on you go.
Yeah.
And it's just the basic concept of training applied to rehab. So with that guy, he could bend over that far to the position where he could lift it. And so we got our little 9-pound kettlebell out, and he picked it up. He's like, okay, I'm okay with that. All right, cool. Let's try 12.
Yeah,
okay.
Baby steps.
We can do that. And it's literally like, we weren't saying, the problem people run into is like, it's either, we have to either do 0 or we have to throw 135 on the bar.
It's all or nothing so many times.
100 pounds in between.
Yeah.
And also, I'll have people do their rehab exercise every day and say, as long as you feel good, add 5 pounds. Or you could push your range of motion a little bit. So we just modified around what people can do. And we get them to actually move around what they can do. And then their body and their nervous system adapts to that. It feels safe with it, and it allows them to go a little bit further. But we're really just playing off the principle that the body will adapt to what you throw at it.
And plus it goes back to the mental building aspect you're talking about before.
Mm-hmm.
Someone is told by a doctor, someone is told by whomever that they can't do this. And so then therefore you believe you can't do this. And then you have someone like yourself who steps in and shows you, actually, no, you can do part of this, or you can do some of this that will get you to where you want to go. So it's, showing them that physically, anatomically, yes, you can go through this motion. You can add this load bearing to what you're doing.
Yes.
But you just have to start small and build from there.
Yeah. You can do this. You can't do this yet.
Yeah.
But you can do this. And there's a lot of steps in between that are going to get us from here to there.
Absolutely.
That is the rehab program. That's the rehab plan, is how do I get you from where you're at to where we want you to be.
So again, kind of going back to your treatment technique and the fact that you do put a lot of this out to the public. I'm sure you probably see a lot of other public output in posts about things. What's some rehab, or what is maybe are some techniques that you're seeing that is just dead wrong, or what do you see that's wrong with the mobility and rehab kind of world right now? If anything.
I don't want to sit here. I'm not going to bash on anybody, but I think that people just applying the wrong thing to maybe stuff they don't need.
Okay.
I think it's the big thing. Like, people thinking that their hip flexors, that they're just supposed to stretch their hip flexors, but they have full mobility.
Okay.
Like, or somebody that can that can palm the floor to touch their toes, but they feel like they need to stretch it, but they're like, oh, well, I have to stretch my hamstrings because I'm supposed to, I think the biggest thing that we're running into is people focusing more on their mobility and their rolling and all that stuff, to the point that they're just not even training anymore. like how many people doing a 30-minute rolling band distraction, voodoo floss stretch routine to get loose enough to lift, that they run out of time, and then their workout was half-assed. Yeah,
that's very true. I mean, I can think of a handful of people I know that I think even sometimes have just devoted foam rolling mobility days, which I definitely think is a great way to introduce a passive recovery or active recovery. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely active recovery. There we go, Chase. Active recovery day. If you're definitely kicking your ass the other 4, 5, 6 days of the week.
Definitely. If you love that and it makes you feel better, go for it. Like, I am fully on board with that. I'm just a big believer in just need to be able to do the things you want to do. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have the mobility to deadlift, you need to be spending time building that. The second you have the mobility to deadlift, or the second you have the mobility to drop into a deep squat cold, like, you don't have to stretch to do it. Like, you can do it. You're there.
There's that adaptive principle we keep talking about. Your body builds up the ability to do things.
Spend all that time up front doing your mobility day so that you eventually don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, that's the purpose of this, is to actually move better. So if we're spending all that time, it should be going towards something. So if you get to the point where you can actually do the things you want to do, go get warm, go get under the bar, knock out a set of 20, and start working your way up.
Yeah.
Get yourself actually moving, and have better training sessions, because that's kind of the goal of all this, is building resiliency. Mm-hmm. And the only way that we're going to build that resiliency to bulletproof ourselves against life is to actually spend our time adding load and training. And
I think that's a great segue into my final question, that what we do in the gym, what we do to strengthen our bodies. We've talked about there definitely is an aspect of strengthening your mind to help get you there, to show you that you can do certain things even when you're told not, building the self-efficacy portion, building the physical strength. A big part of Everforward Radio is, providing this platform for people like yourself who are just, doing these things to help others. So what is it about Dr. Jacob Harden, about your practice, about what you do and promote and post that helps others live a life ever forward?
I think that my brand and everything that I'm about is teaching you how to just live the life you want to live. And if that is going, and your goal is to go and pick up your kids and play with them, awesome. I'm fully 100% on board with that, and I'm going to give you everything I have to get you there. If it's you want to be an Olympic athlete, I'm going to be 100% on board with that. I'm going to give you everything I have to get you there. And I think that the thing that about me and Myodetox and what we're doing is we are solely focused on you. We're solely focused on the person, and we're trying to be an adjunct to getting people to just be able to pursue anything they want to.
That's great, man. I definitely can tell that anyone who doesn't spend the time like you do with patients, clients, whatever you may call them there, like you said in your initial appointment, that 10, 15 minutes of just getting to know the person, outside of just, hey, I'm the therapist, what's your injury? Here's the injury that was given to me by your doctor. Here's your rehab. I think that's a huge red flag. So anyone whether you're going in for an injury or just a chronic ailment, or really, taking any bit of advice in life in general, someone who doesn't take the time to get to know you, how you got there, what your concern is, and where you're trying to go, I think we definitely should be seeking help elsewhere. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. I think that if you're getting 5 minutes with your doctor, then we have an issue.
Yeah.
Like we took an oath, and we have responsibilities, and it's time that we started caring more about our people.
Yeah.
And you're not, like, the thing about it is, if you come see us, you're not a number. Like, you're with us for an hour, and you're going to chat with us, and you're going to feel like we're friends by the end, because we will be. And you know that you have access to my email, and if you need to reach out, like, these are the things that, it's these little things that realize that there's a human on the other end of that pain, and there's a human on the other end of that history, and there's a human here with me too. Yeah. And we need to connect on that level.
Absolutely, man.
We're human beings.
That human component is huge, and whatever we're trying to do to maintain or to get better, we need that connection, because again, it just goes back to the self-efficacy portion. If you got a therapist who's just going to give you a set of exercises and stretches to do, and they check in once a month or every couple months, versus someone like yourself or anyone else out there who is a coach, a trainer, a rehab specialist, and you make that time to make that connection, then you're going to have someone who's going to listen to what you say. Most likely they're going to do their homework. They're going to want to be invested, because it's not just this standalone person, but they have someone that they want to be held accountable to and for and with.
Yeah,
absolutely, definitely. Man. Well, Dr. Jacob, man, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I definitely look forward to your posts every day, because I normally will throw that into some kind of my training protocol, my rehab, or I'm like, cool. I probably should be focusing more on that, and I'm not. So please keep the posts coming, man.
Yep, not going to stop anytime soon.
All right, brother. Thanks again for being on Everforward Radio, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for joining me again this week. I truly hope you enjoyed this episode and its message. As always, if you have found value in Everforward Radio, sharing this and leaving it a 5-star rating and review on iTunes is the best way for this message to continue to reach others. Thanks again, and I truly hope that this content helps you live a life ever forward.